Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear students, today we're going to talk about Unit 2, Lesson 7. Why do you think many people immigrate to Canada? Many people immigrate to Canada to study or to work. Now, the speaking time. We're going to speak about life events. We have many life events, such as newborn baby, graduation, marriage, birthday, getting a job, immigration for work. It's your turn to speak. Talk about important events in your life. Now with the story time. Nancy, who is a British girl, lived with her parents in a small house. They resided in South England. The word reside, left. The next word, decided to go to the forest with her relatives last weekend. She was so lively and animated. The word animated. It was a sunny, warm day. They were exhausted because the trip needed a lot of effort and strength. It was really a strenuous day. Strenuous. The girl and her relatives were tired and began to behave anxiously. They were talking nervously. The word nervously. She really needed to take a brief pause of rest. She decided to walk alone to take a breather in a lovely nature. Take a breather means to take a brief pause for rest. When she came back home, she saw her parents in the living room engaging in conversation. Engage in. The girl was so happy to hear the amazing news. She always wanted to go to Australia. The flight from England to Australia was difficult and needed a lot of effort and energy. They arrived in Sydney after a long, arduous flight. Arduous. They rented a single-story house which was about 300 meters from the beach. Rent. Nancy was so animated to live in Australia and have new friends there. Major family events, such as buying a new car or a new house or family migration. And minor family events, such as birthdays or family weekends. Now open your student's book, page 22. For listening skills. You are going to hear someone talking about immigrating from England to Australia. Talking about important events in your life. So let's answer the questions now. How do you think the speaker felt when she heard that her family was moving to Australia? She was excited. Question B. How different do you think she found life in Australia? There was more open space, more opportunity to swim, and she did better at school. Sentence C. How has immigrating changed her life? She is now studying to become a doctor and loves the Australian lifestyle. Now, listening skills. During listening skills. Let's listen now. Listen and check the ideas you discussed with your partner. Exercise number 1. Let's listen now.
2.2, page 22, exercise 2.
I was born in the south of England, and that's where I resided for the first 12 years of my life. I attended the local school and had many friends. I really liked sports of all kinds and was especially keen on swimming. Then, one day I came home from school and went into the kitchen to get myself a drink. I can remember it very clearly. It was warm and sunny, and I'd had a strenuous day at school. My parents were in the kitchen, engaged in deep conversation. I couldn't hear what they were saying. I remember thinking they sounded quite animated, but I didn't think too much about it. I got my drink and was about to go into the garden to take a breather, but my dad said, "Hang on a minute, we've got some news for you. You'd better sit down." I sat down rather nervously. I couldn't imagine what my dad was going to say. "I've been offered a job in Perth in Australia, and I've decided to take it. It's for 3 years, but if we like Australia, we may decide to stay." I couldn't believe it. Australia! I'd seen films and television programs set in Australia, and I'd always wanted to go there for a holiday. But to go for 3 years, that was fantastic. I'll never forget that day. We left 2 months later and arrived in Perth after a long and arduous flight. The house we were renting was a single-story building about 500 meters from the beach. The first thing that struck me was how much open space there was around the house, and the weather. Of course, I went swimming every day, sometimes spent the whole day at the beach. The local children were very welcoming, and by the time I started school, I'd made lots of friends. I actually did better at school than I had done in England. That was 6 years ago. I'm in my first semester at university now. I'm training to be a doctor. We never went back to England to live, though we have been for holidays. I just love everything about life in Australia, but of course I'm still English, and I keep in regular touch with all my English friends.
Okay, so after listening, now we will listen again, fill in the table below with information about the speaker and her move abroad, then check your answers with your partner. So let's answer the questions now. Let's check the answers. Age: she left England. She was 12 years old. Where she moved to and why? She moved to Australia. Her father has been offered a new job there. Length of intended stay or actual stay. They intended to stay 3 years. They actually stayed 6 years. Occupation: she is in her first semester in university, training to be a doctor. Now exercise number 4. Look at the incomplete mini dialogue below. Complete it with a partner. Let's now check the answers. What do you think are the advantages of moving abroad? Well, I think that you can learn a new language. What about you? I believe that you can learn different cultures and customs. Do you think there are no disadvantages? Oh, yes, there are. Traveling abroad can be hard and expensive. Okay, I agree. You may suffer from culture shock. Now, the closure of today's lesson. Migration. What's migration? Leaving homeland to live in another country. Reasons of migration. People migrate for better life, for better jobs, to escape wars or natural disasters, to escape famine. Thank you, my dear students. See you soon and goodbye.